Beneath a tarpaulin in a muddy Allied base sat a Jeep, rusted and lifeless, its wheels sunk into the earth, its body riddled with bullet holes. Mechanics had written it off as scrap, another casualty of endless war. But one man saw more than rust and ruin. He saw potential. His name was Corporal Stanley Wild Harrington, an engineer with a fierce reputation. He believed no machine was ever truly dead, only waiting for rebirth. While others saw wreckage, he saw raw material for reinvention. Rumors spread through the camp of his mad mechanical experiments. He scavenged tools, parts, and even scrap metal. Under cover of night, the Jeep would soon become his obsession, a test of man versus decay. And in that forgotten vehicle, history was quietly beginning to turn. Harrington earned his nickname long before the Jeep project began. In North Africa, he once rebuilt a broken tank transmission using tin scraps. He was unpredictable, part genius, part madman in the eyes of his peers. Commanders tolerated his eccentricity because his work always delivered. He'd curse at machines like they were stubborn mules, then laugh at his success. Some said he could hear the heartbeat of metal when others heard noise. War didn't dull his creativity, it amplified it. Each repair became an act of defiance against destruction itself. He saw machines as comrades, not tools. He fixed them like wounded soldiers. That's why, when he found the rusted Jeep, he didn't walk away. He was ready to create something beyond standard military design. The Jeep had once belonged to a reconnaissance unit ambushed in Italy. It was dragged back to base as a memory of lost comrades. For months, it sat untouched, its engine seized, frame cracked. Harrington requested to take it for experimental restoration. His superiors, amused, granted permission with little expectation. He rolled the heap into his corner of the motor pool. He began by stripping every rusted bolt, every ruined panel. His hands were calloused, his eyes focused with mechanical devotion. To him, this was more than repair, it was resurrection. He didn't plan to restore it to standard form. He planned to evolve it. Something new was coming, something the war had never seen. By day, Harrington repaired trucks for the motor pool. By night, he became an inventor under dim lantern light. He welded, hammered, and modified, often skipping meals and sleep. Sparks flew like fireflies as his vision took shape in secret. The Jeep's body was stripped bare, leaving only its skeleton frame. He reinforced weak spots with salvaged armor plates from wrecked tanks. He cut sections from unused supply crates to build stronger panels. Every night, the sound of grinding metal echoed through the camp. Soldiers joked about the ghost mechanic working after curfew. But Harrington wasn't haunted, he was driven by an idea. He wanted to build a vehicle that could survive anything. Harrington wasn't following blueprints, he was following instinct. He widened the chassis and replaced damaged parts with mixed components. He scavenged gears from motorcycles, axles from abandoned tanks. The result was an unorthodox fusion of speed, strength, and agility. He modified the suspension for rough terrain using handmade springs. Instead of a soft canvas top, he welded thin steel shielding. He crafted a front bumper reinforced with tank tread segments. The Jeep began to look less like a transport and more like a beast. It was part Jeep, part armored scout, something entirely new. Every detail reflected his wild imagination and relentless precision. The soldiers began calling it the Wild Machine. At dawn, Harrington rolled the new Jeep out for testing. Its engine roared louder than any standard model. It kicked up dirt and smoke as it tore across the camp yard. Soldiers stopped and stared, amazed that the rusted wreck had come alive. The machine handled steep slopes and deep mud without slowing. Even after hitting rocks and debris, it stayed stable and fierce. Harrington grinned behind the wheel like a man possessed. He wasn't driving just a vehicle, he was riding his creation. Commanders arrived, expecting chaos, but found efficiency. The Jeep had survived every trial like a tank on wheels. The Wild Machine was officially reborn. Once tested, Harrington kept upgrading his creation. He installed reinforced fuel lines to prevent explosions under fire. He added extra compartments for tools and spare ammunition. He modified the steering system for faster battlefield turns. A makeshift gun mount was attached. Using tank turret bearings, Each addition made it more than a Jeep, it became a mobile fortress. He painted crude camouflage using leftover oil and soot. Every dent and weld told a story of adaptation. The vehicle's personality reflected its maker: rugged, unpredictable, fearless. Soon, it was deployed on reconnaissance missions, and it performed beyond anyone's imagination. The Wild Machine's first mission was deep behind enemy lines. It navigated terrain where regular vehicles would have broken down. Its speed and silence made it ideal for surprise scouting runs. The Jeep's armor absorbed shrapnel that would have destroyed others. When ambushed, Harrington used its mounted gun to fight back fiercely. His creation not only survived, it saved his entire unit. Reports spread through the Allied ranks of the unbreakable Jeep. Even officers requested blueprints, but Harrington had none to give. He built it from chaos, not calculations. For him, it was proof that improvisation could outmatch industry. The Wild Machine had become legend on wheels. Stories of the Jeep reached higher command levels. They called it a miracle of field engineering. Harrington was summoned to demonstrate his invention to top officers. He arrived covered in grease, his uniform patched and stained, but his Jeep gleamed with defiance. Every bolt polished by purpose, tested on rough tracks, it performed flawlessly once again. General officers watched in disbelief as it climbed slopes effortlessly. They offered him a transfer to a design division. He refused. He said the Jeep belonged to the men on the front lines. He wasn't chasing medals or titles, just innovation. His only goal was to keep soldiers alive. Harrington's belief was simple: machines deserve respect. He taught young mechanics that metal responds to intention. If you rush repairs, machines rebel. If you care, they endure. His words spread through the camp like unspoken gospel. He refused to discard old tools, believing they carried memory. He'd whisper encouragements to engines before battle. Some laughed, others listened, and their repairs improved. He turned mechanical maintenance into a kind of art. War had taken many lives, but Harrington gave life back to machines. His ideas would later influence field innovation techniques. He was the embodiment of wild genius. In wartime, when the smoke cleared, soldiers gathered around the wreck. Harrington sat beside it silently, his hand on its hood. He didn't mourn like a man who lost a tool, but a friend. Commanders offered to rebuild it again, but he declined. He said, "Some creations are meant to live once perfectly." The Jeep was towed back and displayed at the camp entrance. It became a relic, a reminder of human ingenuity under fire. New recruits would salute it as they entered the base. They called it the Wild One, just like its maker, and Harrington moved on to help others build their own. His legacy had outlived the war. After the war, stories of Harrington spread among veterans. Some said he could fix anything with his bare hands. Others claimed he once built a boat from truck parts. Whether truth or legend, every tale carried the same essence. He represented the power of human creativity under pressure. His Jeep became a museum piece years later, displayed with honor. Visitors marveled at its mismatched armor and welded scars. Each imperfection told a story of defiance and survival. The inscription below read, "Born from rust, forged by will." The man himself disappeared into quiet retirement, but his wild spirit remained immortal in steel. Harrington's legacy wasn't about machines, it was about mindset. He proved that limitations only exist in the absence of imagination. War demanded obedience, but innovation demanded rebellion. His Jeep symbolized that balance between discipline and creativity. Modern engineers study his methods as examples of field adaptation. He showed that necessity breeds invention faster than any laboratory. Courage and curiosity built that Jeep, not resources. In the chaos of destruction, he created resilience. His work remains a timeless reminder of human potential, and his nickname, Wild, now stands for fearless invention. The spirit of his machine still echoes through history. Today, the Wild Machine stands as a monument of imagination. It represents every soldier who refused to give up. Its rusted frame shines under museum lights like a warrior's scar. Visitors touch the metal and feel the echo of Harrington's genius. It reminds us that innovation doesn't always need permission. Sometimes it only needs one determined mind and a broken tool. The war ended, but the spirit of creation carried on. Harrington's Jeep remains proof that even ruin can be reborn. From rust to glory, from madness to mastery it endured. The legend of the wild engineer lives forever, and his unstoppable machine still rolls through history.